showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Okay, people, it's showtime!
All right, everybody, it's showtime.
All right, everybody, it's showtime.
Now take your position. It's showtime.
Hey, heads up, everybody! It's showtime!
Oh, it's time!
All right, ladies, buckle up. It's showtime.
Here we go, showtime.
Okay, fellas. Showtime.
Okay, it's showtime. Ed Berliner, the fastest show in sports.
Greetings, true believers. Welcome back into the fastest show in sports. I am your host. I am your ringmaster. I am the guy who makes all the mess happen. I'm Ed Berliner. The gentleman next to me is an old friend, a dear friend, somebody who actually has gone through the wars with me. We've been, God, we could write a book on the cable wars that we've been involved in when it comes to sports. He is the best guy I know when it comes down to college football. He was with us. He was with at CNN. He was with us at SNN, at Newsport, and God, we'll talk about a lot more. John Fricke joins me today on the fastest show in sports. My man, it is good to see you. You're looking good.
Yeah, so are you. I mean, it has been a long road you and I have traveled here, and yeah, we could write a book. The problem with writing a book, though, is we'd have to sell our friends out. That's not going to happen.
Well, you know, I've thought about writing a book. For those who don't know and those listening on the podcast or on YouTube, John and I first got together at something called Sports News Network in 1990, which was the first 24-hour all-sports television cable network where we just regurgitated the news 24 hours a day. We were ESPN News before ESPN News got started.
Or ESPN News, right.
Yeah. And then we were at a place in the mid-90s called News Sport, which was part of Cablevision, and the sports channel system, where we were the background. We were the backdrop for any time there wasn't a game on, they came to us and we did sportscasts. And John, I have come this close to writing this book a million times.
Oh,
and I think
you write it.
I think we could, but wait a minute. I think we could do it without selling out our friends. I do.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I got offered a chance to write a book one time about the first 10 years of CNN. And no, because the stories would be, first off, not only am I not going to sell out my friends, but even though I know that they're true, it would be hearsay and I get sued out of them. It wouldn't be good.
See, I've talked to a lot of literary agents and they have told me how to write the book so that I would not get sued. And I've thought about it because if you think about it, we had some great friends you had great friends from CNN. We had great friends we still have from Newsport and SNN. Mm-hmm. But there were a lot of assholes.
Yeah, it's TV.
There were a lot of jerks, a lot of assholes, and a lot of people who need to be buried more than once. Oh, and I do have to tell you this.
Well, I could back you up on some of that too, so I guess that would help.
Oh, well, see, there you go. I'm in a hotel in San Francisco last week. I'm in the Marriott Marquis. I'm doing an event, and I'm sitting in the near the front desk with Shannon, and I'm just waiting for stage time to go on a couple of hours, and I hear from off to my right a voice that says, "Is that Ed Berliner?" And I look up, and it's John Mallos.
Well, at least you got your name right.
John Mallos was a guy we worked with back at SNN. And I mean, I haven't seen John in 20 years, 25 years. And he's there to watch the Dodgers and the Giants game because he lives up in Northern California, I think, or Seattle somewhere. But all the memories came flooding back then of those years. And I'm going, Jesus, God, if they would have just stuck with us, if Mislu would have stuck with us and Cablevision would have stuck with us, think of the money we would have made. Just kidding.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Same with me with Fox when I was at Fox Sports Net and Todd Donahoe and I were doing that. And, well, things are what they are. I mean, it's the nature of television, unfortunately.
It is. But we had some great times. We made some great friends. We did some goofy stuff. And by the way, I still have the VHS of the day that the studio roof gave way and it started to rain on the set when I was doing the show.
Yeah.
I don't want people to think it just gave way, but it was like raining. There was like raindrops, and all of a sudden it got worse because we
were top shelf. I mean, everything was primo. I mean, that's how we did it. That's how we rolled. Yeah. You know, the WNBA is out there saying, you know, pay us what you owe us. I'm like, yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I see where a number of the WNBA players are now saying, pay us what we're worth, pay us what we deserve. You're a junior league. You're still supported by the NBA. The NBA still basically keeps it afloat. And it's not to say that the play is bad and the players don't deserve to get paid. But you're not there yet. You haven't earned the right to be paid anything like an NBA player. You'll get there, but it takes time. I watch the games every now and then, and it's amazing competitive athleticism. But you're not worth that kind of money yet. Am I wrong?
Well, life is never what you're worth. It's only what you can negotiate.
Right.
I mean, if Bob next door to you, in the cubicle next to you, has been with the company the same amount of time, does the same amount of work, is the same amount of productive as you, and makes 3 times the amount of money as you, it's just because Bob can negotiate a better deal. So it's up to you to go negotiate a better deal. And for the WNBA players, they can go on strike if they want, and we'll find out how much they're able to negotiate. Not what they're worth, what they're able to negotiate. They just need a better union. And so if they get one, then, you know, they may get paid more. But in the interim, don't complain about it, and don't wear T-shirts that say that you're owed something. Nobody owes anybody anything.
That's the biggest part of it. The league doesn't owe you anything at this point.
No.
You owe what you get what you can in every
You get
situation.
what you can negotiate. Right.
But it still takes time. And
well, don't we always say, Ed, that there are players who get contracts, you go, how the hell does player A get a $100 million contract? Well, he was able to negotiate it.
Yes.
He said, well, he sucks. Well, that doesn't matter whether he sucks or not. You know, Ronald Acuna Jr. makes $17 million a year. I can tell you right now, he negotiated a long-term deal that benefited him, 6 years ago, which is fine, but it doesn't benefit him now. I mean, he's obviously, if he's healthy, he's worth Shohei Ohtani or Judge money, but that's not what he negotiated. What do you want me to tell you?
Well, but that's the difference, too, with those players saying that we deserve something. Yeah, you deserve to be paid well. Look, I mean, I'm one of those guys that has always said, I don't begrudge anybody who makes hundreds of millions and tens of millions, whatever it is. If you can get it, make it. It's like in broadcasting, sports, doesn't make a difference what it is. If you can get that kind of money, get it. Life is short. Don't bother to sit around waiting about what you could get. But you're right. Negotiate it, work at it. The WNBA players want to be paid better. Get a better union. Get a better leverage system working. Create what you have. Make it something that is completely indispensable in sports, that people will absolutely want to see at any given time, and then you can make more money. I mean, right now, yeah, they get great crowds in many of these WNBA games, but you're not... Look, when we talk about the major sports in America, we talk about baseball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, maybe golf, maybe still NASCAR, but the WNBA does not come into that discussion yet because they're not there. And guess what? I saw one WNBA player, and I cannot think of her name. And she said, I get paid about $76,000 a year. And I'm thankful for it because I couldn't make that kind of money anywhere else playing basketball. She understands that it takes time. And I wish they would think twice about becoming overly militant. But then again, you and I both know that this whole conversation will be whitewashed by people who will say, a couple of old white guys sitting here talking about female basketball players. It's what will always happen.
Well, I mean, the argument against that is, look, if we were talking about figure skating, professional female figure skaters make more than professional males figure skaters because the audience wants to see them more than the men. And it's just, it's by the way, comparing it to the NBA is comparing it to rugby. It's not the same thing. They're two totally different things here. I mean, it's not the quality of the game. It's just the quality of now they have a new television contract coming up. So good, renegotiate. Oh, look, I'd be thrilled for the WNBA players to be making, Caitlin Clark signs a, 5-year, $40 million deal. I
Good
mean,
for her.
yeah, right. Besides, she's already making about $8 million a year in endorsements anyway. So, I mean, she's not hurting. And neither is Angel Reese, for that matter. When she comes out and says, "I make 76,000," I'm like, "No, you don't. I mean, you got a
Making
shoe
a lot
deal."
more.
Yeah, so don't pull my chain on that one. So look, it's only what you're worth. WNBA players make less than women's tennis players at the top. They make less than women's golfers. What do you want me to say? This is an apt comparison, probably more apt than it is to the NBA, if for no other reason that the WNBA isn't the NBA. It's a totally different league. It's a different game. I mean, they're only associated because they both play the same sport. It has nothing to do with anything. Why does women's basketball in college not get the NIL that men's basketball does? Well,
Sure.
I don't know what to tell you. Be bigger. I mean,
Well,
women's soccer is bigger than men's soccer on the national level here in the United States by a factor of 20.
women's soccer in America it's a good comparison because women's soccer in America, John, is successful. And they've been
Right.
successful over a number of years. They have been successful at the national level, at the world level. They have captivated America with what they do. They deserve everything that they get. Ladies, at the WNBA,
Right.
you've got an audience. You've got a great audience. You've got a growing audience, but you're not there yet. When you get there, I hope you get $100 million contracts. It doesn't come out of my bank account. So if you make a tremendous amount of money, good for you.
And I want to dispense with one final thing because I've had this discussion on my radio show too. When you say, "Well, you're just two old white guys sitting around talking about something,"
Yeah.
I want to make sure that anybody who says that understands. No, we are two Americans, okay? And if you're an American, regardless of age, race, creed, color, gender, whatever, you're an American discussing this. You're not a well, I guess anymore, citizen of New York, socialist citizen of New York. I don't know what the hell that city's going to do. I mean, it's already a damn disaster. But no, I mean, you're not in China. You're not in Brazil. You're not in even England. This is a free market. And if you don't like the free market, leave. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, no, and it's a good comparison and it's a good idea because I hear it a lot in a lot of when we put out this show, it goes out on audio podcast, YouTube, it goes out on clips all across social media, and it gets a lot of attention, specifically on TikTok and X and Instagram, with a lot of response. And when the response comes back, it's invariable that no matter what the discussion is, there will always be those who will say, "Come on, you're just a bunch of old white guys. Get out of here, Grandpa. Get off my lawn." That's bullshit. We've been here.
Of course it is.
We know what it is. We've been around a while. We know what happened before. We know what's happening now. We know what may happen in the future. We're able to put some experience and some level into it that nobody else would be able to bring to the discussion here. We're not hammering anybody because of their sex, race, sport. This is all just about the games and money is all it is. We've been here.
Hey, look, mean, you and I both we worked in television for years and years and years and years, right?
Long time.
At the national, right? Look, at the national level, I worked at 4 national networks. Okay, CNN, Fox Sports Net, Sports News Network, and of course News Sport. So I worked at 4 national networks. I never made the money Joy Reid made. I just wasn't able to negotiate it. But I can guarantee you that when I was at Fox Sports Net and back in the day when I was at CNN used to have better ratings, that I had far more viewers than Joy Reid ever had on MSNBC. I can guarantee you that.
Sure.
Yeah. So
And we still didn't make the money.
No. I mean, I wasn't able to negotiate what she was able to negotiate. She was able to leverage her position, her personality, her whatever she was able to leverage into. It's all about leverage. And she was able to leverage that into a better deal than I ever got. I couldn't do it. Even with agents, I couldn't do it.
Well,
even though I was like you, I was really good at what I did.
It's really a good point when you talk about leverage. Because the WNBA players claim, pay us what we're worth. You don't have the leverage right now because you are still a subsidized league of the NBA. Now, If the NBA pulls their money, you stand on your own. You have to then create the leverage. And that comes from ticket sales, television ratings, sponsorships, everything else that makes money. And the women are making good money right now from their endorsements. It's rolling in much more than the salary. I will agree the WNBA should raise the salary rates, but at the same time, you're not $10, $20 million players because you're just not there yet. Stand on your own and grow. And it just comes down to how many leagues have you and I seen over the years that have come up and have failed? I mean,
let's
we've
start with
run out of
networks.
hands.
Let's start with networks.
Well, networks. Don't go there, John.
Let's start there.
100 years later, it's still a sore subject.
Yeah.
But we've seen how many sports leagues come and go. Look, I remember, and this goes back a million years, was when they had something called the WFL and then the UFL, other football leagues. I remember when Howard Schnellenberger was a head coach at the University of Miami, won a national championship, left to go be part of the UFL, had a press conference, everything was there, and they never played a game. Ever played one single game. And we're still looking at sports like the USFL that tries to hang on and has gone out of business several times. And there have been different basketball leagues that are out there. It takes time. The fans have got to grow with you. So you're going to have to, look, if you're a WNBA player right now, you're going to have to suck it up, realize that you're part of a base. And here's what they'll also do, John. They'll come back and say, but wait a minute, the WNBA has been in existence for decades. We've had the base. We should be able to grow from the base. Yeah, and I should be able to make $1 million working for a television network. It's just not the way things happen. You're now the base of a new WNBA. You've got to put up with the growing pains.
This is really simple, in my opinion. If the WNBA players feel grandstanding with T-shirts is not the way to negotiate with ownership, it's not the way to win over fans. It was a very poor, ill-gotten idea, and it actually backfired on them to some degree. If I were to get the players in the room, I'd say, look, if you want to have a higher rate of pay in the league, then let's try and negotiate that, go out on strike, and let's find out. And if the ownership wants to open up the CBA and you want to negotiate a new CBA with salary caps and salary floors and things of that nature and better benefits, better medical, whatever, then we'll go that route. But if the ownership looks at you and says, if you go on strike, we're going to use replacement players like they did in the NFL, I'm not sure the league suffers that much. So you better be careful, because outside of Caitlin Clark could stop today, go form her own league opposite the WNBA, and maybe beat the WNBA in terms of success.
I don't know if that happened, because all the really good WNBA players are right now in that league. So I don't know if she'd be able to find good WNBA talent.
Hang on. Define good WNBA players. I mean, go watch that All-Star game and watch the fact that some of them can't even shoot. I mean, so the point is what's marketable and what's not marketable. And in terms of marketability, the players in the WNBA that don't like Caitlin Clark are totally missing the point. She's a white girl or some, bogus thing like that. She's the first marketable player the league has had. And so it's sort of like what happened with Tiger in golf. Tiger took golf to the next level, he was the breakout marketable. Let me put it to you this way. Breakout marketable guys like Michael Jordan in basketball and Tiger in golf. And it's what men's soccer in this country has been missing, is that they've never had the breakout star. They've had the guys that we thought might be stars, the Donovans, the Dempseys, the Pulisics, but those guys aren't Messi. They aren't, Ronaldo. We need the superstar to carry and break out into the public for the men to become that superstar player that's world renowned and maybe the best player in the world. And at women's basketball, Caitlin Clark is the best player in the world.
Well, you'd get a lot of argument from that. There are people who would say that she is overrated. There are people who would say that she's injured, she's not. I mean, there's a lot of excuses here, and unfortunately, a lot of it comes from the sewer that is social media, where people are still, for whatever reason, they're still trying to drive up this competition between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and how Angel Reese is the much better player. And John, I have seen this incessant social media bullshit now for weeks, where months actually, where it comes out to say that she's the real star of this league. But if you dig deeper into a lot of this, a lot of that is a racial sense of discussion, because there are a lot of players saying that she doesn't get her results, she doesn't get her attention because she's a black player. That's nonsense. All that is just creating a contrived controversy here. She's a good player. Is she a great player? No. Caitlin Clark's a better player. My God, we've answered this question already, haven't we?
Well, again, who are the most marketable athletes in the history of sports in this country? Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods. What race are they? Walk me through this again. So don't give me that.
But the WNBA has got to realize it, and I agree with you completely. If you really want to, go out on strike, but I think you're making a huge mistake.
I do too.
Again, it still comes down to the money is from the NBA. The NBA still funds these teams. You think the NBA and Adam Silver are going to put up with a league that goes on strike and hurts their dollars? You think they're going to put up with that?
No, the NBA will pull its money.
No, but that's just it. If you want that to happen, go ahead. Then learn to stand on your own 2 feet. See how tough that's going to be. And that's going to be near impossible. All right, college football. You are the guru of college football. There is no doubt.
Or my wheelhouse.
No. Shove Paul Feinbaum off to the side. Get rid of him and all that nonsense and all that crap that he throws up here. You are, and I've known you long enough that every time I have a college football question, I go to John Fricke. It's just that simple. So here we are in a new era of college football. John, let's just get right to it. The college football we knew is dead. It's gone. It's buried. It'll never come back. So we need to all stop this conversation about we need to go back to the way things were. It's never going to happen. There's never an amateurism anymore in college football, in college basketball, maybe soon in college athletics. We're going to have to cut this in half. We're going to have the pro college league and the amateur college league. And that's just the way things are going to be. Can we not admit that it's dead and buried?
Oh, yeah, it's been gone for a long time.
Thank you.
The younger fans won't know this, but up until the Dream Team in the mid-'90s in basketball and the Olympics, we sent our amateur athletes to the Olympics because we felt that the Olympics were, in the United States anyway, an amateur event, which is what made the Miracle on Ice in 1980 such an incredible victory over the world's best team, when everybody else in the world, China, Russia, back in the day, the East Germans, everybody, the Cubans, all sent their professional athletes to the Olympics. And we finally decided, wait a second now, this is just stupid. Let's send the best that we've got. The Olympics are for the best athletes in the world, so we'll send our pros. And so we started sending the professional athletes. Did it ruin the Olympics?
No.
Okay. So this is not going to ruin college football. All the people that want to bitch and moan about it. Fact of the matter is, when Kansas State and Iowa State tee it up in Dublin, and when we get the opening weekend of Georgia Tech at Colorado and Auburn and Baylor and Texas and Ohio State and LSU and Clemson, is anybody going to be sitting around going, what's the NIL value of the quarterback that I'm watching? Or are they going to, hey, I want my team to win?
No, but see, wait a minute. I'm going to split with you on that one, because with the inherent amount of gambling that happens right now and the way that it runs every single sport that we're in, what the players make, how much they make, and how that relates to their performance is a huge part of what the gamblers are looking at these days. So I think, and I've seen this even more now than ever, where they're going, this quarterback is making $8 million with his NIL money. Boy, he's got to be good. He's got to be one of the best because he's making all this sponsorship money. It's not a fair comparison, John, but I think that's what happens.
Well, no, I mean, there's going to be pressure on players to perform. Duke paid Darian Mensah $3 million to come to Duke to be the quarterback. But Miami paid Carson Beck $4.3 million. So, which is triple what Cam Ward made. And Cam Ward, all he did was win a Heisman and become the number one pick in the draft. Is Carson Beck going to be that guy? Well, unfortunately for you Hurricanes fans, I don't think so. So is he worth 3 times the amount of money? Of course not. But again, it's this goes back to the WNBA. It's not what you're worth; it's what you can negotiate. And Carson Beck could negotiate that because at the time he was dating one of the Cavender twins. So I think that's over. But that's not here there. But so he had leverage because his girlfriend, right? And the fact that he's a pretty good quarterback. Now he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but we'll see. He's got, an opportunity here, and certainly there's a lot of pressure on Miami to be that team, especially the second team in the ACC this year. That's a spot that behind Clemson seems pretty much wide open.
There's a couple of things, though, in all this. John, no matter how you slice it anymore, this is now a greater haves and have-nots than we've ever seen before in college football, ever. Because there were times when the small guy could actually sneak in every now and then. Now, I tell you, there are 10, 12, I'm thinking off the top of my head, maybe only 12 teams in America that can win a college football national championship. That's it. There's no more. You're not going to have the little gun that's going to come up out of nowhere, that's going to rise up and going to all of a sudden be this world beater. Because the teams that are out there, the Penn States, the Notre Dames, the Miamis, the Floridas, the Alabamas, the Georgias, they've got all the money, John. They can now afford better players. It's an arms race, and it's all down to money. So we're looking at a two-tiered system in college athletics right now. Here's the guys that can win it, 10, maybe 12 teams. Here's everybody else. You're never going to touch a national championship. They got to separate then and almost have a national championship up here and maybe one down here. Look, we're almost going back to the Division I, Division II, Division III concepts that we had before, where you win a championship in Division II.
We need to. I mean, this is why
we do.
We need super conference. Look, let me tell you what's going to happen. A couple of years back, I told one of my cohorts on the radio station in Atlanta that I work with, I said, look, we're going from 4 to 12 teams to the playoff, and we had a big argument on the air because he said that wasn't going to happen. I said, no, it's going to happen. Okay, there's no getting around this kind of growth. And then I explained to him 2 years ago, by the way, we're not stopping at 12, we're going to 16, and there's going to be further growth in the leagues, expansion of the leagues, and the only thing preventing that is Jim Phillips and the ACC's grant of rights. Otherwise, Florida State and Clemson would have been gone already to the Big Ten. So I said, look, there's going to be further expansion and there's going to be further consolidation moving forward. And sure enough, next year we're going to 16 teams. I mean, they're still debating on the exact, 5 and 11, 4, 4, 2, 1, whatever, between the Big Ten and the SEC. But those two leagues are running the show. So the Big Ten and the SEC in the next 5 years will merge. And once they merge, we will have super conference, and they will invite, because at that point the buyouts will be good enough, low enough that you can spread them out. Florida State could take a $75 million loan from the super conference and pay it back over the course of 10 years or something. Same with Clemson, same with Georgia Tech, same with Miami, same with the teams, North Carolina, Virginia, the schools that the super conference, the combined Big Ten SEC would covet. Now they're not going to covet everybody, but they would certainly covet schools like that because of the television revenue, television markets, and things of that nature. So I would imagine we're going to get to a point where we have, a 56 team Division I, if you want, a super conference, and that's going to be a great thing.
But they can't afford it, though, John. I mean, those schools. You've got 20 schools, maybe that 10 to 20 schools, 15 schools, whatever, who can afford it, who can bring in and pay the tremendous amount of money to the athletes. They have the budget for it, but the rest don't have the money.
The 56 teams are going to create a new television contract that's spread evenly among the 56 schools. Northwestern makes more money in television money right now than Georgia does because of the Big Ten's television contract.
Because of the Big Ten TV contract. Yeah.
Right,
but
because
that's not going to hold
bigger than the SEC.
When you say a 56-team super conference, you're still looking at those teams that are in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. They'll never win a national championship. They'll never compete for one.
I don't know that is
even if
true.
You share the money.
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, you look at last year. You had Indiana, Arizona State, Boise State make the playoff. This year, you'll have 3 new teams that will probably replace those unless Indiana actually is going to be able. Indiana could be pretty good. But I look at Illinois. I think that's a team that could make the playoff if they play well. I look at Georgia Tech as a team that I really like, that I think could be the second best team in the ACC, and we'll find out. That's why that Colorado game is so important to them at the beginning of the year. And Baylor, there's another team that could wind its way into the playoffs. And you're going to have a group of 5 team. What if it's Toledo?
But is
And
making
so-
the playoff the end result? You want to win a championship.
Yes.
You want to contend for
Well,
one. Is that where a
yeah.
lot of these schools are just going to say, look, we have a
Yes.
successful season if all we do is make
Right.
the playoffs?
Yes,
With
because
56 teams? That's pretty weak.
yes, well, you have a 16-team playoff because you split into divisions, have all the division winners, and then you would have wild cards that a committee picks. Just not unlike basketball. So no, I think that, but it's more than that though. It's about being able to finally get athletes.org to represent all of these athletes. It's also about control of the portal and the dates of the portal. It's control of the recruiting. It's control of the amount of money that you can offer. And we have to get word. Language means things. Words mean things. And one of the things that drives me nuts, 2 things actually. One is that when
Just 2?
fans talk about, just 2. Well, these 2 in particular.
Okay, good.
When fans talk about college athletes, please never, ever, and I want you to stop this immediately, refer to them as kids. They're not kids.
Right.
They're adults.
Thank you.
In this country, if you're 18, we can give you an M16 and tell you to go off and fight at war. You are not a kid, okay? You are responsible for your own debts. You can you're an adult. So you can enter into any agreement and sign any contract you want. You don't need a co-sponsor or co-signer. You're an adult. So these adults, let's stop with using the term kids. Because when you do that, then you realize, oh, okay. Now, and put it this way. Did you know that in college basketball last year, the Auburn Tigers, okay, the average the average age of their starting 5 was older than the average age of the starting 5 of the Atlanta Hawks?
I believe it.
Isn't that amazing? All right, so that's 1. 2 is, let's get rid of this term NIL. Because everybody's got an NIL. What is an NIL? It's an endorsement that allows you to use your name, your image, and your likeness. They're endorsements. They're not this weird NIL thing, which I think confuses everybody. It's just an endorsement.
But you realize, of course, that the NIL endorsement, a player is going to get a lot more money if he goes to Alabama than he will if he goes to TCU.
Not necessarily.
So, well, yeah,
not
necessarily.
necessarily.
I think it is necessarily.
No, I know. I not necessarily. I mean, what if I could tell you that you can get a lot more in endorsement money if you live in Los Angeles than if you live in Tuscaloosa?
Well, Los Angeles, but that's a different market altogether. You're still looking at the number 2 media market in the country where
Right.
most of the sponsors are.
What about?
But
right.
my point is, but wait a minute, hang on. Stick with what I said. Alabama, TCU. That's just an example right there. There's no way that a kid will ever want to go. If you've got a college football athlete who's deciding that, number 1, I want to play in the NFL. Let's also, if you want to get rid of calling them kids, John, let's get rid of saying that they're going to get an education. Stop. This is not about an education anymore. These kids want to go to the schools because they want to be NBA players. They want to be NFL players. That's their career. So that's what they want to do. If they fail...
Yeah, but only a fraction do. So I would hope that they would continue in the future to encourage a lot of these young men and women who go to these to go ahead and further their education as part of the agreement. I would hope so.
But see, I don't hold with that anymore. If you want to be an NFL player, if that's what you want to do, you take your chances. If you want to be a lawyer, you go here to be a lawyer. You go here to be a doctor. I want to be an NFL player. I want to sign with Alabama. I've got a chance to go here. That's going to be my career. Then, damn it, play for it. And if you miss, guess what? Somebody's got to go out there and run the FedEx trucks every now and then. It's like Judge Smales said in Caddyshack to Danny Noonan about 1 million years ago in the movie, the world needs ditch diggers too, Danny. Yeah, The world does. If you fail at being a college football player, you're not guaranteed to have an education. If you got one, fine, but you're going to Alabama because Alabama wants to make money off of you for football and athletics. That's their money. You're nothing more than an entity to them. And if you want to be an NFL player, you want to go to the best place possible. If you try and fail, you fail. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I have no problem with that. I mean,
I have no problem with that
anyway.
either, but that's my point. They won't be able to. The really great players are going to say, I have to go to a school that's going to give me the best opportunity to play in the NBA or to play in the NFL.
Not necessarily.
I do.
I think
I think so.
you're gonna go get the best deal too. I mean, because you're gonna say, look, I have to be realistic about my chances of making it into the NFL. So therefore, if I can make my money now, I'll make my money now. So, but we'll see how this kind of all starts to play out. But the important thing is, I think, I, yes, there are going to be a set of superpowers that are probably going to be, the new blue bloods and the new stain, but that's always been the case in college athletics, where, a certain number of things, but it's also been cyclical as well. We've seen there isn't a team in college football, there isn't a school that hasn't gone through a down period. Everybody goes through a down period. The question is,
Sure.
how long does the down period last, and are you able to come out of it? For in the example of Florida State, was it a 1 year downturn last year, or is this going to be something that continues on for an extended period of time? We'll find out opening day when they play Alabama, and how long this season will be for them. I think they could be anywhere from 6-6 to 10-2. I mean, they've got talent, and whether or not they respond is. Castellanos is a up and down kind of flighty quarterback. He's got some skills, but we'll see how that kind of works out for the Knowles this year. But if you look at, I think, the long term here, Indiana is a harbinger in a lot of ways. This is a school that has not had much success, if any, in football, and suddenly burst on the scene last year, using the portal and using a new coach. And I think Arizona State to some degree was, though obviously Arizona State had had more success in the past than Indiana. But you're going to see these teams rise up, and they'll catch somebody every now and then. I mean, last year,
Every now and then.
yeah, well, but isn't that what college basketball was? I mean, suddenly we never in college basketball had anybody that remotely resembled George Mason or Loyola or Virginia Commonwealth making it into the Final Four into the last, say, 15 years, or Butler since the last 15 years. That never happened. And so I think you'll see more of that happening in terms of not mid-majors, because mid-majors won't be part of it, but smaller schools. I mean, Vanderbilt suddenly is competitive in football. Hell, they beat Alabama last year. So, I mean, I think that you're going to see 9-3. The hardest thing for some fans to adjust to, Ed, is that it's going to be virtually impossible for schools like Ohio State and Texas, Alabama, and Georgia to go 12-0 or 13. Forget 13-0. It's just not going to happen anymore. And I tried to explain that to Georgia fans last year, and they got all mad about the season they had because they lost 2 games. And I'm like, well, you lost 2 games, so you still won the SEC title. You're still the number 2 seed in the playoffs. I think you had a pretty damn good year, but we lost 2 games. You should have lost 3. Should have lost to Georgia Tech. Somehow won that game miraculously. But if they don't win that game, they're not even in the playoff. Alabama went 9-3 last year. There's a lot of pressure on Kalen DeBoer. Alabama may go 9-3 again this year.
Well, yeah,
And
at
if
the
they do,
higher level,
yeah.
there's no doubt that the competitive level has grown, and I agree with you completely. It's undefeated seasons. I don't think are ever going to. Well, they will happen occasionally, but they're not going to happen with the regularity that they used to.
One may get it,
level. But
Clemson this year may get it.
We're still creating that haves and have-nots, which leads to my original argument, which is there's maybe 12 teams. If you look right now at the college football landscape, I can see 12, maybe 15 teams that can win a national championship.
Well, let's go down.
Nobody else has any chance to do it whatsoever. So,
let's go down. Let's go down. I think I can find 8 or 9 teams in the SEC that can win a title this year.
Win the title?
Yeah.
Come on. And
they can make the playoff.
John, if you put Ole Miss in there, I'm gonna shit.
What, they can't go. Wait, they can't win 9 games?
A national championship.
Well, all they have to do is make the playoff, Ed, and then get hot. Look at Notre Dame. I mean, you make the playoff and get hot. I mean, that's what you do. And so, can you make the playoff? That's the first step here. There are at least 9 teams. There are at least 9 teams in the SEC that can make the playoff. There's at least 6 in the Big Ten that can make the playoff.
Then I'll expand myself and say there are 20 teams in America right now that have a chance of winning the national championship. That's it. No more. You're not going to have more than 20 teams. How's that?
But that's a rotating 20.
Is it?
In other words, yes, because it may include Illinois this year, and it may include, say, South Carolina this year. But if Lenore Sellers leaves and it falls off, maybe it doesn't include these 2 next year, and they're replaced by I don't know, Arkansas, which might actually be better than some people realize this year. I'll tell you a team that Oklahoma went 6-6 last year. Oklahoma could make a leap to 10 wins this year right now and suddenly be in the playoff.
But aren't we
Good
looking
job,
at
Mr.
the yo-yo effect again, which is going to say that let's take Indiana. Indiana becomes one of the 20 teams this year. They're in the playoff hunt. They go for maybe 2 or 3 seasons, and they're strong and they're good, as you say. They've got momentum, and then all of a sudden they hit a roadblock. Now they hit the roadblock where they go down. Players who are now being paid to play and who want the best chance at being in the NFL are not going to go to Indiana now. Kid's going to sit there and say, oh, come on, geez, yeah, they were good for a couple of years, but the last 2 years, these guys stink. They're out of the playoffs. I'm not going there. The talent tide then begins to shift, and it goes to the teams that have more money and more capacity for them to eventually win a championship and become a part of the NFL. That's haves and have-nots, John.
I don't know how Georgia has more money than Indiana. It doesn't.
Georgia, but in the SEC, you're talking about the kind of money that they have, the kind of endorsements they can get. A player will look at it, and the kids are pretty smart these days. They're going to look at it and say, I can get a better endorsement going to Georgia than I can going to Indiana.
I don't know why that's true.
Why?
I mean, Indiana University, with their alumni.
National audience, national television?
Nobody
national
gets
rankings?
national endorsements, Ed. They're local endorsements. Nobody gets.
But there's a lot of them that go from the local to the national.
Well, okay, but let's talk about college football this year. All right, let's just talk about this season, if we can, for a moment, because I'd like to address what I think is going to be an extremely hyper-competitive race in all 4 of the Power 4 leagues. I want to warn and give fans a heads up. What you think might happen at the beginning of the year is probably no, it's definitely not going to happen. You're going to have a lot of upsets. You're going to have a lot of changes. The polls, whatever you see now, are not going to look like they. It's going to be so topsy-turvy, and you're going to say, well, what in the world happened this year? Well, the portal happened this year. And the difference between, say, Texas and Georgia at 1-2 in the preseason poll and down to, say, but look, Florida is 7 or 8. I mean, can Florida beat Georgia? Yeah, DJ Lagway can beat Georgia. He's a better quarterback than Georgia's got, Gunnar Stockton. And so, I mean, you're going to have teams that are going to rise and fall, and teams, of course, injuries play a role in that too, as we know. There are only really 3 or 4 teams in the SEC that are already out of it. Kentucky's still trying to, I think Mark Stoops is probably on his last hurrah there. I think Arkansas could actually be pretty good. Arkansas could be good enough to be an 8-win team and really, really upset the apple cart. You're going to have a lot of upsets in the SEC, roil the SEC. And then look at the ACC. You tell me behind Clemson on paper, Ed, is North Carolina with its 24-year-old cheerleader coach, is that team a 5-win team or a 9-win team? I mean, from a talent standpoint, they're a 9-win team. But, if she's out on the field trying to call plays and timeouts and doing cartwheels during intermission, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, there's factors.
So I take it you're not a fan of Bill Belichick's girlfriend. You're definitely not a fan.
Well, no, I just don't know what's going to happen. I think it's really interesting because I got into this debate yesterday on my radio show with a fan who called in and was adamant. I said, because Colin Cowherd had made the point that he thought the Big Ten had, reached an even status with the SEC. And I think it's pretty close between the 2 leagues. Because, Big Ten's got scoreboard. They've got the last 2 national titles. And I think split it into thirds. The Big Ten and the SEC at the top third are dead even. In the middle third, slight advantage to the SEC. In the bottom third, pretty large advantage to the SEC in the bottom third. So from a depth standpoint, the league is better than the Big Ten. But at the top, those national title contenders you talk about, the 6 in both leagues are dead even. And he asked me about the 6 in the Big Ten, and I listed them. And he said, Illinois. I said, yeah. He said, Illinois, Alabama plays, is a typical fan, right? Alabama plays Illinois tomorrow. They beat them by 5 touchdowns. I'm like, are you on drugs? Did you not see what Alabama did last year? Do you not see what they have coming back? I think Alabama's offense could be extremely good. But they've got maybe the best offensive line in the nation. But I don't know about Ty Simpson or Austin Mack at quarterback. I have no clue. I do know that Luke Altmaier at Illinois is pretty bloody good, and that Brett Bielema's got a an offensive line that's the equal of Alabama. I think fans tend to look at the name value and don't look necessarily at the quality value of what these teams have and try to do comparisons between, certain leagues. This is also to say that there's a growing problem with the Big 12 and the ACC, because to your point, I think it's less about individual schools separating themselves. I want you to think about how leagues are starting to separate themselves. The Big 10 and the SEC have started to get to here, and the Big 12 and the ACC have started to get to
Hasn't
here.
it been that way for quite some time?
Yeah, but I think the separation's happening even faster than we thought.
There you go. That comes back to my argument again about haves and have-nots.
Right, because of the money.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is why Florida State wants out, and they're right to want out, because Northwestern and Vanderbilt make more money than they do, which is not going to fly in Tallahassee, not going to fly in Clemson, South Carolina, or in Miami. Now, what supports Miami, for example, you talk about schools that are spending money. Miami, which is some fans don't realize, is, I know, Ed, is a private university. It's also one of the most expensive universities in the country. It also has an extremely wealthy alumni corps, and they're spending money like crazy down there to try to build a winner.
And the alumni corps is part of the problem, not just at Miami, but at other places, because while you have the College Sports Commission that now runs NIL for all intents and purposes now, you still have that $600 cap that's now being talked about for marketing and for promotions for players. John, we're looking at a brand new era where the boosters are going to try to get involved again, and there's going to be a lot of under-the-table money again.
Oh, yeah. Yes, of course there is.
We may see more. We may see more cheating in college football now and college basketball than we've ever seen before.
Which is why we need Super Conference to get a set of rules that are actually going to be agreed upon between all the participant schools, so that they're all aware of the ramifications. Because if you're in Super Conference and you're caught violating the rules, you can be kicked out. And I don't care if your name is Alabama or not. You can run the risk of a 2-year ban from Super Conference, which would annihilate your athletic program if you don't police yourself. So I think
they'd never do
in
it.
this case, that's
they never.
Well, no, I think they actually are, because
they never kick out on Alabama because of the money involved.
Well, but they would. The point is that they would put in penalties that are so severe that schools are going to want. So I think schools will begin to police themselves a little bit. But when we talk about policing themselves, I don't think there should be any cap on endorsement money for any individual in any walk of life in any way in the United States of America. It's a free market. And if somebody wants to pay somebody $100 million to promote their car dealership in Waukegan, Wisconsin, or whatever, I don't care. What do I care?
But the problem you have, John, is not necessarily the individual deal. And that's why the CSC is getting involved with the collectives. They are going to try to put the collectives out of business.
I want the collectives to be out of business.
They should be out of business, but that the problem is going to be putting them out of business. And once you put the collectives, everybody knows that's where all the money goes and then gets distributed out to the college athlete. Once you get rid of the collectives, then we're right back again to the booster who owns the automobile dealership 10 miles away from the stadium, who will be handing a kid $10,000 to go ahead and basically take care of his food or his lodging or any of that bullshit. We're going to be right back into the 70s.
Except it'll be legal.
Well, but the money, though, is not, again, if it's being run by the CSC and they're cutting out the collectives and you can no longer receive money
CSC,
from the collectives.
This is why we got to get rid of this. This is why we got to get rid of the CSC. The Super Conference has to set its own rules. Yeah, no, it doesn't. If you get Super Conference, they'll set their own rules. They'll go to Nashville to the Opryland Hotel. They'll all vote on the rules. Everybody will understand what the rules are. Everybody will abide by the rules. I don't want the government involved in any of this. So I know that this is really far afield, and I don't want to.
But it's far afield. But it's all part of where college athletics is going these days.
It
all impacts the game.
I understand that. All right. And the funny thing is, again, while we complain about this, about how much a particular athlete may make or whether or not he's being paid above board or behind the table, as long as they're not, rigging games like has happened in the past. I mean, rigging games is not anything new. We've seen scandal aplenty at Arizona State, at Boston College.
And it's going to get worse.
Well, and it may. And that's something that we have to, that's why when the NFL's biggest concern has never been domestic violence or drug use or things of that nature. It's always been gambling, because that's what would destroy the sport if there were that kind of scandal, especially in a high profile game, and God forbid a Super Bowl. But back to the game here. While we talk about all of these things and what's unsettling to fans and what's not right with the game and how do we fix this, the fact of the matter remains, I think when we get to the season, Ed, aren't you excited about watching LSU and Clemson? Aren't you excited to watch Arch Manning go into the horseshoe on opening day and see what he does against?
You're asking the wrong guy, John.
I'm thrilled. I can't wait.
I'm not. It's okay. I'm more waiting for hockey season to begin, but that's another story altogether. I mean, I still am not. I'm not engaged in college football anymore because of the constant change of players, because of the constant in and out, because of the secondary issues that all are involved here. I don't. You've got to follow it now very closely, and I don't. Am I excited maybe about seeing certain games? Sure, I'll stop in, but I got to admit, college football doesn't hold the allure to me that it used to. It just doesn't seem to grab me anymore. And I'm still trying to figure out how in the hell and why you're so high in Indiana and Illinois. I can't fathom this. I'm trying to figure this out as we're sitting here going through the conversation. And I know you're smarter than me. You're a lot smarter than me when it comes to college football. I give 100 times.
I mean,
I can't figure that out.
Well, I mean, it's just a personnel and coaching situation. I mean, from a roster standpoint and a coaching standpoint, Illinois is 9-win team, maybe a 10-win team. I mean, they're loaded, Ed. Georgia Tech is, I mean, we've talked floor and ceiling. I mean, Illinois is a very good football team.
So you're predicting both Indiana and Illinois will win 9 games?
No, one of the two.
Okay, one of the two. Okay. And the other team will suck.
No, they may be a 7. No, they'll be a 7-win team.
I got to write this down because I'm coming back on this. I'm going to have to. You are either, and you've always been out of anybody I've ever known. You've always been right on, but I'm still trying.
Well, I'm trying to think. Okay, who, from a personnel and coaching standpoint in the Big Ten, who's better than Illinois right now?
I don't know.
I'll tell you.
You tell.
I think. Certainly Penn State, Ohio State, and Oregon. Michigan, that might be it. They may be the 5th best team in the Big Ten, top 5 in the Big Ten. I can't think of. They're better than USC. They're better than UCLA. Better than Nebraska. I think they're slightly better than Indiana. They're better than Wisconsin, Michigan State, Maryland, Rutgers. Yeah, they're better than all those.
I still don't see this aspiring to be good. Don't you want to be great? Don't you want to win a title?
Well, yeah, you want to make the playoff. Isn't that the goal?
You make the playoff, but still
in hockey, what's the goal? Make the playoffs.
Win the Stanley Cup.
Right, but what's the first goal?
Get in the playoffs.
Okay, there you go. If you're not in, you can't win it.
Are we not looking at a time when we are going to eventually get to the old idea of a Division I and a Division II? Maybe even a Division III again, where certain colleges just know they're not going to make the money, they're not going to pull in the revenue, they're not going to have the ticket sales, they don't have the TV contract, and they're going to have to exist in that vacuum of winning a title at a lower level. We need to go back to that to give them something to strive for.
All right, well, we have that now, obviously. We have Division I AA, which is called FCS. We have Division II. We have Division III, NAIA Division I, NAIA Division II.
But more teams have to agree. More teams have to understand that's where they belong.
Well, yeah, no, that's where you're right. So what's going to happen is that FCS level, where you see schools like James Madison and Liberty and Montana State, and really good football programs that have 30,000 seat stadiums and draw big fans, are going to be flooded with a lot of schools who are going to have to make a decision as to where they want to fall in. Well, frankly, they're not going to be invited to be part of Super Conference. They will be able to play big-time sports and everything else but football, because some schools obviously don't play football, or they play, like, you'd be surprised how many fans don't know that Georgetown has a football team. They play Division III. Okay, they're Division. St. John's has a football team. They're a Division III school. It's just non-scholarship football in the NCAA, but they play. They have a football field. They have coaches. They have a team. They play Division III, but they're Division I, obviously in basketball in the Big East, right? So that's what you're going to have with certain schools. I'll give you a few. For example, that Memphis tried to buy its way into the Big 12.
Right, $200
and
million
failed.
they want to give the Big
Correct.
12, and the Big 12 said, no, get out of here, go away, we don't need
Right.
you. And they're right.
Because-
But aren't we going to look at that eventually, John, where that's going to start to be more the norm than the exception, where schools are going to say, hey, if we get enough money, we can buy our way into the conference, and we can buy our way into the but they can't.
You know, that's probably not going to happen. You're correct.
Right.
The reason Memphis wanted to go into the Big 12 was that Memphis could see what's coming. And even though the American Athletic Conference just changed its name yesterday to the American Conference, as if that makes any difference, but they did, rebranded it. Memphis knows that they're never going to be able to go.
Baby.
Yeah, they're never going to be able to jump from the American Conference into a Big Ten SEC Super Conference. The Big Ten and the SEC is not going to look at anybody in the American. Okay, they're just not.
Sure.
So if you're Cincinnati, if you're Memphis, if your school's in the American Conference, you got to find your way to take the next step up. They're only going to take teams out of the Big 12, teams and the ACC, and then maybe and eventually possibly Notre Dame. If Notre Dame understands that it has to relent at some point. So that Memphis is seeing that that's coming. So they say, oh, we got to get up to one of the two leagues because the new super conference is only going to come from the Power Four, and we can't be sitting here in a group of five or as it is now, group of six with the new Pac-12 that's out there. But you'll see schools that will not be part of the super conference that will fall into a new category. And it's going to be a really good category. They'll get fairly decent money from a television standpoint. I mean, you'll have schools like, we just talked about the Pac-12. All those teams, Oregon State, Washington State, San Diego State, UNLV, Fresno State. You'll see teams like Wake Forest and maybe Duke drop down because they're not going to be invited in. Boston College could drop down. They may not be invited in, though Boston is a television market. Could possibly get them in because of the television size of the television market.
Yeah, but the television market in Boston has never really been big on college football in the first place.
Yeah, but it's still 5 million people and 10 million people in the state.
I get it.
And I mean, it's just television. It's part of the television deal, which is why I try to explain to Florida fans, look, right now the SEC doesn't need you because they charge for the state of Florida already because they have a team in the state of Florida. They can charge for the entire state just with Florida.
Yes.
Why do they want to, so this is why the big leagues like the Big Ten covet Virginia and North Carolina, two gigantic states, right? Because they have 11 million people each. And that's television money. That's Big Ten network money. That's 22 million people. And how many television sets a Big Ten network that they could charge for? So why Rutgers and Maryland are even in the league to begin with. Why they went after USC and UCLA, because they're the number 1 and number 2 and number 5 markets in the country. So it's all about television money, right? And so once you understand that, then you're going to be able to figure out, well, okay, where are we going with this? Which is why there's no reason to have Wake Forest. There's no reason to have Duke because they're smaller schools and you already charge the state of North Carolina with that, at that point, North Carolina State.
So you would agree with me then? You see the point in time where you're going to have, whether it's the super conference or somebody, they're going to start ejecting teams. They're going to have to. They're going to have to get rid of the Duke.
They're just not going to invite them.
Well, no, but I'm saying the teams that they currently have, if you've got a Duke sitting there right now, you're not going to make any money with them. Get rid of them. Bring in somebody else who's going to make you more money or tighten up what you have. There's no reason to have Duke.
Well, from a football standpoint, there is no reason to have Duke.
That's my point. So then the conferences eventually get down to the point where we have, 20 schools. We want to add this school. We want to add that school. You're out. You're out.
No, there's only going to be one entity. There's only going to be one entity. It's going to be the combination of the Big Ten and the SEC.
You tell me that you're actually going to be able to sit down the conference commissioners of the Big 12, the SEC, the ACC, the Big Ten, all these other conferences, and you're going to get them to agree?
No. The Big Ten and the SEC are going to merge. They're already having those discussions. They've been having
that's my point.
Those discussions for the last 3 years. And they're ongoing. And, the two leagues want to merge. And one of the things that they've been discussing things that they could do now. The only reason they haven't begun the final stages towards a merger and the creation of the super conference is because the ACC is standing in their way with the grant of rights. If Florida State and Clemson left and broken the grant of rights, the ACC would have dissolved much like the Pac-12.
Well, that's kind of like my point. You're going to have two conferences that will create one, but you've still got other conferences, other commissioners, other teams that have to get involved to create this super conference of 60 teams you're talking about. You can't just do it with the Big 12 and the SEC.
And the Big Ten? No, you can't. I mean, it's again one entity. It's just one entity. Big Ten and the SEC. They formed together, right? 34 teams. They announce a super conference. They say we're going to invite 22 schools to join us. Okay, we're inviting North Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, Clemson. Go down the list of the 22. Miami. Whatever schools they want to have join them in this. This 56 team league, and everybody else is just reforming into something else.
I just cannot see the commissioners of these conferences getting together.
Who cares what the commission? Who cares what?
And agreeing on anything.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what Brett Yomark at the Big 12 thinks. It doesn't matter what Jim Phillips at the ACC thinks. They're not going to have any say in this. We've seen this already. I mean, Maryland left the ACC. Does that matter? No, of course not. Nebraska left the Big 12. Missouri left the Big 12. Colorado left the Big 12, then went back. I mean, you can't stop a school from leaving. So what the commissioner thinks is irrelevant.
That even makes more sense now. National champion for this year?
Who?
Oh, wait a minute. Before I do that, John used to do a great bit called The Dirty Dozen, where you had the 12 worst teams in college football. It was on television. It was on radio. To me, it was one of the best things we ever did. And I'm trying to remember, there was one school that was always number one, and I cannot...
Oh, I can tell you.
Go ahead.
The University of Texas at Intercepted Paso.
Was it always UTEP?
It was always UTEP. The University of Texas at Intercepted Paso. Yeah, they were pretty damn bad for a long time.
All right, who's the worst team in college football right now then? Who would be number one in the Dirty Dozen right now?
Well, I mean, am I including all the group of 5 schools and saying Kent State? Is that what you want? Or you want me to talk about just the Power 4? I mean, because the worst teams are obviously, like you mentioned, the teams that don't have the wherewithal and the resources. I mean, they're going to be, the Kent States, the Kennesaw States, schools of that nature.
What about the worst team in the big teams? I mean, let's take that.
The Power 4?
Yeah.
Well, Purdue by a mile. Purdue's awful.
Okay.
Purdue's butt. I mean, oh my God, last year they went 1-11. I don't know how they got the 1 on opening day, lost 11 in a row. They played a game against Indiana where I still wanted to try to find out whether or not this was the first thing it had ever happened in modern college football, where Indiana had more points in the game than Purdue had yards in offense. Indiana won the game 66-0, and Purdue had 64 yards.
Have you gone to the point yet of picking your national championship? Your national champion?
No, I actually haven't done that yet, but I could try and do it off the top of my head here. It'll be really intriguing. Look, there are 2 or 3 schools that have separated from a talent standpoint. The problem is trying to decide how good Julian Sayin is going to be as a starting quarterback in Columbus. From a talent standpoint, through and through, I think Ohio State has the best roster in the country. And then I would say Georgia's number 2. Texas number 3. I think Alabama might be number 4. They do have a very good team, but I think the pressure on Kalen DeBoer is insane, and that's why that game against Florida State becomes critical, because they're going to be playing, either Ty Simpson or Austin Mack. Now they may be able to develop one of the two, but you're not getting any startup game to try to solidify them, and we've seen what happens when you put Ty Simpson into a game. Before what happened with that near loss at South Florida a couple of years ago. So it's going to be Tennessee, as much as they didn't want to pay Nico Iamaleava, probably made a mistake. So I would expect a step back from Tennessee this year to more of an 8-win team. And so I start to look at who's going to make the playoff and who do I think has the potential in the playoff to make the Final Four. And it's going to be pretty much the same group of teams. Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, Texas, Georgia, Alabama, those 6. However, I will say, I think there are a couple of teams that intrigue me a lot. And if I'm forced to pick up a team out of either of those leagues that's going to make the Final Four, potentially a national title game, I'm going to look at LSU. And this is a critical season for Brian Kelly. He's got the quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier. I know their defense has been stressed beyond words, and they've been awful at times, but they have been able to win an opening game. If they go to Clemson, the winner of the LSU-Clemson game, Death Valley versus Death Valley, is going to be on track for a Final Four spot. Clemson has everything in front of it. Clemson has to be careful of one thing. Okay, they got to be careful of they put all their eggs in that opening basket against LSU, and then suddenly you get too full and mighty of themselves, and they go 2 weeks later to Atlanta to play Georgia Tech. Again, I'm trying to tell you there are certain teams you don't want to play this year. Georgia Tech is one of them. Georgia Tech is a team, another team that I think could actually end up as a 10-win team in the playoff. They've got a great quarterback in Haynes King, really great running back in Jamal Hayes. They've got a veteran defense, veteran offensive line, and Brett Key's a really good coach. And so you have to be wary of those teams that are kind of they're fringe teams between being like a 9-win team or an 8-win, 9-win team to a 10-win, 11-win team. And all for them it's going to take is that one game that puts them over the top. And so whether that's Georgia Tech, Miami is another team to watch. My problem with Miami is, Ed, and you can help me with this, is you get to a point where you buy in, you do buy in. And, as a Nebraska fan, I buy in every, this is the year we're going to be back. And then, of course, it's like, wah. Same with Miami. They'll go 8-0 and then,
die. Well, every year it's been the defense.
Every year it's been the defense.
So finally, Mario Cristobal took and he rebuilt the entire defense. But does he have a quarterback this year that he's not going to waste?
Well,
I mean, they kind of wasted
how good
Cam
is Carson
Ward
Beck?
last year.
I mean, I think he's pretty decent, but at times I don't think Carson Beck is as good as Cam Ward. As a matter of fact, I know he's not.
No.
And so, I don't know what to expect from Carson Beck in big games. There were times at Georgia at big games where he sort of disappeared. It's a difficult call here because, as you say, there are 20 teams that can win the national title. And depending on the health of the team and how coaches go, if you talk to me about, I'll give you a couple other examples of teams that I don't know. Is Auburn a 7-win team or is Auburn a 10-win team? And that's going to hinge on Jackson Arnold, and you say, well, Jackson Arnold wasn't any good when he was at Oklahoma. Well, let's not forget that Bo Nix wasn't any good when he was at Auburn, and when he went to Oregon, he almost damn won a Heisman, and look at him now. So sometimes players change schools and it works out for the better. Sometimes it doesn't. Spencer Rattler goes from Oklahoma to South Carolina, it still sucks. It's hard to say how new players are going to react. The difficulty in picking the national title is that there's so much parity in terms of the top of the leagues and at the very top of the leagues. When we see Vanderbilt beat Alabama last year and we realize that it's not out of the question that they do so, or Alabama goes to Oklahoma against a 500 Oklahoma team and gets blown out of the building, and you go, well, that's just Jalen Milroe. Well, okay, what about Ty Simpson? So it's hard to get I don't know where Alabama sits with Kalen DeBoer. I think that, frankly, Kalen DeBoer may not be a good fit in Tuscaloosa. He's got a ton of talent. He's got enough talent to win the national title, but does he, or does he win 8 games? So it comes down to winning the close games. So you put me on the spot here. I think the Final Four, I think Clemson's the first team I scratch in. I think they're an 11-win team, 12-win team. I think Clemson's in. Okay. I think they are the class of the ACC, and I think this is the year that Debo shuts a lot of people up in the way, he finally decided to go into the portal, but he's got a really good team. They're deep. The league's winnable. He's better than anybody in the ACC. So I think Clemson is in the Final Four. I like Texas quite a bit. And I like Texas from a standpoint of being able to get revenge against Georgia. Because I don't trust the quarterbacking situation in Georgia right now. I think Arch Manning is going to be a superstar. And so I think they can ride him. Some people are saying, well, he's not a proven commodity. Well, he's a Manning, and Peyton says
that's really all you need to say anymore. You need to say he's Manning. Yeah,
Peyton held a quarterback camp in the offseason here, where he had Garrett Nussmeier and he had a bunch of the start Drew Aller at Penn State, and he had Arch there, and he came out of it and said, well, there's a lot of really good quarterbacks out there, and they were asking him directly about Arch. He said, well, I'll say this about Arch. This is Peyton. He said, he made throws that Eli and myself could never make. Well,
high praise.
I mean, if he's saying that he can make throws that Eli Manning and Peyton Manning could never make, that's pretty high praise. And I think Texas has improved its offensive line. So I'll go with a second piece of orange in Texas.
Okay.
Ohio State's going to run into one issue and one issue alone. Okay, and that is the development of their quarterback in Julian Sayin. I think that Julian Sayin is going to be very good, but I think a little bit like Will Howard, I think he's going to be a little inconsistent. So in that regard, from a player standpoint, I think Ohio State is slightly better than Penn State. But from a quarterbacking issue, I like Penn State. I think James Franklin is knocking on the door of something really big. So I'll go with Penn State as team number 3. And then for team number 4, I think I'm going to go back into the SEC and say Alabama. And because I think Kellen DeBoer, first off, I think Alabama's got the talent to potentially be an unbeaten team. I know the quarterback situation is really kind of sketchy here, but I like Austin Mack as their starter. He's a Kellen DeBoer guy. He backed up. He backed up in Washington. At Washington, he was Michael Penix's backup. So he's been with Kellen DeBoer now 3 years. I think he's probably going to be able to be one of those Greg McElroy kind of quarterbacks. You know, he's not going to set the world on fire. A.J. McCarron, who was actually probably a better quarterback, some people remember, but he's going to be one of those, guys who can, at Alabama, who could play quarterback, didn't have to be Tua, didn't have to be Jalen Hurts, you didn't have to be a superstar, just don't lose the game kind of quarterback. And I think Alabama's high. So I'll go with those 4, Penn State, Alabama, Texas, and Clemson.
I am shocked. I am shocked that you didn't put Ohio State in your top 4.
Well, it's just a question of Julian Sayin, who I think is going to be, I think Ohio State has the best player in the nation on offense and the best player in the nation on defense. Caleb Downs is the best player in the nation on defense, which should Alabama ruse the day they let him go. And Jeremiah Smith is the best player in the nation on offense. But the quarterbacking situation with Julian Sayin concerns me. And when you're talking about a young quarterback, like when you put a young quarterback in, they're going to have a moment or two where it's just not going to click for them, or they're going to make a mistake and it's going to cost them a game, like in the opening game against Texas, where you're playing against Arch Manning. Well, Arch Manning hasn't played much, but he's played. It's not like he hasn't seen the field yet, and Julian Sain's going to be stepping into a hornet's nest here. Now, if Ohio State does manage to win that game, I don't think the loser of that game in either way is by any means out. Like the loser of the LSU Clemson game isn't out. So the loser of Alabama Florida State may be out. Florida State's not going to be able to recover. And if Alabama loses that game, that's going to be a huge ding to Kellen DeBoer, and it's going to cause a lot of consternation. I mean, Alabama, I could sit here and tell you Alabama's going to make the Final Four, and they could go and lay an egg at Florida State, and suddenly they're, backpedaling from the jump in the season. But I just don't trust the quarterbacking situation at Ohio State. If they had a veteran quarterback, I would say that they're a lock to make the national title game, if not win it all.
I see you in your retirement years in a very certain way. You did see the movie Casino, yes?
Oh, of course, many times.
Okay. I see
Great film.
you, John Fricke, at the end of the movie. You're the guy who's sitting there with all the television screens in front of him.
Yeah.
You're the De Niro character. You've got the big glasses about this big with the lenses maybe 6 inches thick, and you're picking winners for people, John. I'm telling you, we got to market this shit.
Well, I don't bet for a reason, because if I was any good at it, I would. So that tells you something.
He didn't bet. He just picked the winners.
I know. I couldn't. Whenever I put money on, I overthink things, And so, like my first marriage. So I would say the one caveat to that is that there aren't another handful of schools that can make it in. I mean, anybody out there who's a Notre Dame fan, Notre Dame's going to be hard pressed to follow on what they did. I think they lost an awful lot of talent on the offensive line, for example, and and having to break in a new quarterback and Xavier Watts, who was the leader on the defense, who I think is going to be potentially a rookie that blows up in the NFL. So I think that Notre Dame's probably going to, but Notre Dame's schedule's pretty easy. I mean, it's not a difficult schedule compared to teams in the SEC or the Big Ten. It's pretty simple. So they'll win a lot of games, but will they make the playoff? A 10-2 Notre Dame team making the playoff this year maybe come down to strength of schedule, and that they may ace them out of it. So we'll see how that kind of works, and they got to get to 10-2 to begin with. But I'm pretty good at being able to look at things. I will say that I think that there's going to be I give you a couple of them. There's going to be Georgia Tech and Illinois. There's going to be the Indiana and Arizona States of the world, Baylor. I'm looking at those three teams. So those teams could, and Oregon is another case with Dante Moore at quarterback, where when we have changes like that on an annual basis, how coaches adapt to those changes is one thing, but the individual players matter. And so when you're talking about Julian Sand at Ohio State or Dante Moore at Oregon, it comes down to cast of characters. It's like, John, well, how can you say that Austin Mack or Ty Simpson at Alabama, becoming the starter makes more sense? Well, the fact is that first off, they're both older. They're both third-year players, not first-year players. So they've been, in the case of both, they played, and so at big level schools, even if it's been limited, they have played. And so they've been around for a while and they're older players. And again, they know enough not to lose the game. And that's what you trust in somebody like an Austin Mack or a Ty Simpson. Just don't lose the game for us because the rest of the team around you is good enough to win the games, where sometimes the young quarterback tries to win a game, and when in the course of trying to win a game by himself, that close game, they end up losing it. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be an interesting year. They're going to be X factors. The team out of the group of five, potentially the Boise State of this year could be Boise, but I think Boise lost way too much. I think people are going to be really surprised. I think Boise could be a 6 or 7 win team. They lost way too much. 18 starters out, 18 starters in. I mean, that portal was just trying to recreate that whole thing is going to be really difficult for them. The team out of the Mid-American Conference, a couple teams out of the Mid-American Conference to keep your eye on. One of them is Toledo. That's a team that suddenly could fight its way. Can you imagine, you would talk about the playoffs, say, opening match, Toledo at Alabama. Yeah, could happen.
You'll lose me. There'll be exhibition hockey on that day, and I'll be right over there. I gotta tell you. I promise you, John, I will attempt with my schedule to try and pay a little more attention to college football this year. Certain games. I will make an effort. Not promising anything, because I still think it's junior NFL, but that's another story altogether.
Well, it is junior NFL.
It's not even that. Pretty soon at the amount of money than the way they're going right now, it won't even be junior NFL. It'll just be NFL 2.
Well, somebody said something interesting. They said that, Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State this year in his NIL, his package at Ohio State will make more money this year than Puka Nacua of the LA Rams. And my answer to that is yes, that's absolutely true, by the way. It's also true that Jeremiah Smith is better than Puka Nacua. So there.
What's the radio station you're on in Atlanta? I keep forgetting.
92.9 The Game.
92.9 The Game. And you're in the morning show, right?
No, I used to be. Now remember, I'm retired.
You keep bringing that up. You're never going to... Come on, John, don't retire. Just keep doing college football, baby. You can do this. We got to put Feynman out of business.
I do it for...
I do
a 4-hour radio show Saturday mornings. And Sunday mornings with college football and the Falcons, I still do that. So, I get ready for all of it. I'm ready for football season, and so I'm locked and loaded.
You're never going to completely retire. Come on, man.
No, you don't from this business
you don't
until they kick you off the air, and even then, I'd probably start doing this.
See, here it is, John. It's right here in front of you. You can reach more people in this format than you could ever reach on a radio station in Atlanta. Ever. Possibilities are there. Worldwide audience.
Well, I might have to, because as I get older, I start to look a little bit, I'm not Crypt Keeper old, but yeah. But I could act like the Crypt Keeper. I could make some stupid statement that makes no sense to anybody. And I guess I wonder how Feinbaum made his money being as ignorant as he is. Maybe that's the key. Maybe the key is to say dumb stuff that makes no sense to nobody, and then you get attention. Oh, I didn't think about doing that.
No, but that's the way a lot of sports talk runs these days. You go ahead and just you spit something out. Look at Stephen A. Smith.
I hadn't thought about that. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should just say dumb stuff and
say the really. Look, John. We come from a time when I talked about this, contrived controversy. That's always been the statement that I'm talking about when it comes to, all you have to do is say something absolutely ballistically stupid, and it will get a tremendous amount of attention. Or do something ballistically stupid, like go to a Coldplay concert, and it'll all work out. Yeah. Okay, I'll leave it at that. 92.9 Game in Atlanta. Don't forget, watch us on YouTube at thefastestshowinsports.com. Or no, The Fastest Show in Sports. Also on audio, go to Podbean for the podcast. And then also go anywhere you get your podcast. It's always there on audio. Twice a week, The Fastest Show in Sports. Look us up. There you go. Mr. Fricke, always a pleasure. My love to the girls. And let's do this more during the season, man. When it comes to college football, we need you, baby. Get back in the game.
Well, and don't ever gamble with any money that isn't yours and any decision that isn't yours.
Wow.
That's the disclaimer.
All of us.
That's the disclaimer. I put $5,000 down on stupid Texas to win the national title because you said. But you said, don't you hate the but you? As a talk show host, there's nothing but you said. Oh, really, champ? What did you say? Where are you on record of saying anything?
The comments by Ed Berliner and John Fricke are completely their own and have nothing to do with anything else when it comes down to you making any decisions. Don't make any decisions based on what we tell you.
Well, we could only deal with the information that we have at hand, right? I mean, I had people coming up to me, but you said the Braves were going to be World Series contenders. Well, yeah, I guess that was before like 43 injuries and before the manager came out and said, I might retire at the end of the year. I don't know. I mean, what do you want me to tell you? It's not my thing, not my fault. I mean, they
there it is.
Okay.
Right there. No, wait a minute. There it is. There's what John and I want to leave everybody with here today. It's not our fault.
You should just, you know what? You should just play the Osborne Brothers as the theme song.
What? I'm not familiar.
Go Google. It's Not My Fault. It's a great song. Great song.
Osborne Brothers?
Yes, the Osborne Brothers.
Okay.
Go Google it. You'll love it. If you like Southern rock and stuff like that, you'll love it.
Okay. I'll go ahead and do it and I'll let you know. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. He's John Fricke. I'm Ed Berliner. Until we meet again right here in the Fastest Show in Sports. Rock on, true believers. See ya!
That's all, folks.